Hi, everybody. So, we are about to watch another movie as a part of our First Timers and Favorites series. I'm here with Dana. Hi, Dana.
Hi, Steve.
So, do you want to tell me and everybody watching a little bit about the movie you have chosen? Because this is your choice this time. Last time we watched my movie. This time we're watching one of yours. What movie have you chosen for us to watch and talk about this time?
I have chosen The Lion in Winter.
And why?
First of all, because I really like the movie. And you haven't seen it, so it fits the criteria.
That's right.
But I'm also somewhat choosing it in response to Little Miss Sunshine, because
Yes.
this movie also shows a very dysfunctional family. Like Little Miss Sunshine, it has an absolutely amazing cast. Similarly to what we see in Little Miss Sunshine, there are these moments where the characters attempt to connect with each other. But I hope this doesn't spoil anything. The big difference is it doesn't match up. They have these non-functional relationships. And so what happens is when one character decides to choose to be vulnerable and to try to reach out, the character to whom they're trying to connect with will typically reject them and use things they've done in the past against them and will weaponize their vulnerability. They'll use it as a power play to hurt them the way that same character has hurt them before. It's heartbreaking to watch. There is some forward movement throughout it, but it's very uneven.
Yeah.
And just it's very character driven, and I'm a sucker for that.
Yes, of course.
Um, and I'll be interested to see what you think of the ending, which I will hesitate to call a resolution.
So we are going to pause the recording at this point and watch the movie. And then after the
Yay!
movie, as soon as we're done watching the movie, we will be back and share with you our thoughts on The Lion in Winter. So here we go. So we have just watched The Lion in Winter. I thought it was fantastic. I loved it. I loved
Oh,
it.
I'm so glad.
Um, yeah,
Peter O'Toole. Peter O'Toole.
I mean, the number one thing, and I say this about so many movies that I like, it was so funny. And I mean, it's not it also had your very serious moments and very sincere moments, but it never stopped being funny. And that's
I,
something
I think
that
it paused at being funny at
well,
least.
I mean, in terms of like throughout the length of it. I mean, it was, yeah, not everything in it is funny. There
Right.
are times when it's not meant to be funny, but I've seen movies and TV shows where it starts out as kind of a good mix between comedy and drama, and then at a certain point it just stops being funny. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. Usually for me that
Usually,
doesn't work. Yeah, usually I could you because I find because usually what happens is I'll get to a certain point late in it and it'll occur to me it hasn't been funny for a while, you know, and it being funny was part of what I liked about it, and now it's not doing that anymore. And with this, it never like they always there are stretches where there aren't any laughs, but then
long.
they always remember to give Katharine Hepburn a line, you know,
Or
to
they
just
they cut the camera to John.
or yeah, or oh God, John, who is just so but yeah, I mean,
That last one, when they're
when
gonna
he's
kill
about to
Henry,
get his yeah,
and John's like, I don't only mess it up. You do it.
you
I'll
do it.
watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I love that, and I love that the humor comes from the characters. I love the way they bicker. I love how hateful they are to each other. It's like the most toxic family dynamic you could ever imagine.
Oh,
And
it's beautiful and hard. Like I said, I love
yeah,
that.
well, that's the thing. It's they're all such awful people, and they're all so awful to each other, but somehow through the performances and through the sort of underlying tragedy of it all, and because it is so witty and so funny, it's just a joy to watch. Like it's quite a trick that the movie pulls off, where you're watching for not for all of it, because there are also some very sweet, sincere moments between them as well, but for most of the movie you're just watching these awful people be awful to each other, and it's absolutely delightful.
I don't see them as awful people. I don't.
Well, largely awful people, maybe not awful through and through, but
They're people who hurt each other, who choose to hurt each other for the purpose of hurting each other. But it's because the person that they're hurting has hurt them, and they're getting them back. So there's that sense of, that it is justified in every case. And when they are choosing to hurt someone, you see their own pain in them. It's never gratuitous. Even when they're saying, it's for fun, I enjoy it, you can see the pain that hurting someone else brings them. And that, I think, is what saves them from being awful people. They're never careless about it, and it's never fun to them. It never is actually fun to them. It's I'm going to make you understand how much you hurt me. And just breaks my heart, and I just love it. What did you think of the ending?
I really like the ending. I see what you mean when you said before we watched it about it's like a resolution, but not a resolution. It does something else that I really like when I see it in movies, and when it works like it works in this, which is the movie leads you to believe that certain things are important that turn out to not be important. When things are sort of getting set up and it starts to get going, and you're meeting all the characters and you're sort of figuring out what their dynamics are and just what the deal is with this, you sort of assume, okay, they're going to fight over who gets to be the king, and
They do.
yeah, and they do, and and Eleanor's going to have her son, and Henry's going to have his son, and they're going to squabble and plot and scheme and try to outmaneuver each other, and and it's going to end up with one of them getting the kingship and getting
Right,
the
especially
throne.
since, I mean, historically, we
Yeah,
know how it turns out.
and maybe somebody's going to die, or you never really like, but you sort of assume that the succession is going to play like a big part in where the story goes, and it doesn't.
Spoilers.
Yeah, and that it turns out that's not what it's about. And you don't feel, or at least I don't feel cheated. I don't feel like, but I wanted to know who the king was going to be. Like, I don't care about that. I'm not. And the movie does a good job of showing me, actually, that's not important. That's not what this is about. So that ending of them, going back to the boat and still being at each other's throats, but also it's like you get the impression of, well, this is going to keep going, and we kind of want it to keep going. Like, they have this sort of toxic thing where it's like they do love each other, and
Yes.
they do hate each other, and this
They do
back
love
and
each other,
forth
and
that
they
they have.
can't stand each other.
Yeah. And they have this back and forth, this tug of war that they do, that is going to continue. And that's what both of them want,
Somewhat. And the one thing that I didn't think it brought up was, he offers her freedom and mentions that she used to love to travel and she would be able
Mhm.
to do that. But it never addresses that it would come with a price. That she also says to Alice that Alice sits at the head of Henry's table, and that's her seat. The thing is, she don't want me sitting by Henry.
Right.
And if she were not imprisoned, anytime there was any sort of just people visiting the court. She would have to be there. She wouldn't get to travel all the time.
Right.
She'd have to put up with Henry. And being shut up in the tower maybe doesn't look all that bad anymore.
Henry's,
After
yeah.
what, 2 days? Has it even been 2 days?
Henry's a lot. Henry's a lot.
They're all a lot.
They're all a lot, but
which again
yeah,
makes me think of Little Miss Sunshine. They're all a lot.
Yeah. I mean, well, the thing, and Henry. They're all great characters. Henry's a great character because you just want to grab him by the shoulders and go, "You idiot! This is all your fault."
Slap him a couple of times across the face.
Yeah, it's like you're upset because you found out, oh my God, like that scene when he finds all three of his sons in Philip's room and he's just like, oh,
at a time.
And they've all been plotting against me. And it's like, I don't have any sons. And it's like, you idiot. They're treating you exactly the same way you have treated them. And the thing is, he knows that. He's not completely, like oblivious to that. So he realizes that. And but it's still like that's part of the tragedy of him is that he has just enough self-awareness to realize that he is responsible for this, but he's still such, a capital K king that he's like, they can't do this to me. You know what I mean?
What you just said, who that reminds me of?
Who?
Daffy Duck.
Oh my God.
He does have awareness to realize his role in all of this.
Yeah.
But he's like, this time it's going to be different. We'll go home first. And then you can shoot me.
He does have some Daffy-ish qualities. I mean, he does, big ostentatious shows of anger, blaming other people for things that he knows are his fault. but yeah, and I mean, Eleanor is fantastic. It's like the perfect role for Katharine Hepburn. She's the spirit of the whole thing. I mean, without her, both her as an actor and that character, like it would not have nearly the life that it has. I mean, because she's the one who goes back and forth between, being hurt and hurting the most, and she's the most sympathetic in that way, and also the most cutting and the most vicious,
brutal. God,
and she's also
at the end when it's her and Richard. He says, "What do you want?" And she looks him in the eye and says, "I want Henry back."
Yeah,
and she's referring to their firstborn son.
Yeah,
and it's just like.
The dead son that we liked. Remember the dead son that we liked.
Let's be honest. He would also have been raised by them. So
yeah,
let's be honest. He
well, that's why
any better.
That's why he's the good one. He checked out before they had a chance to ruin him. Yeah. But yeah, and she's I mean, they all have funny moments. Henry has so many funny moments, but she's the funniest character, and she's the one who is usually getting the laugh by commenting on what is happening, like that that line.
And the way like she continues to twist the knife, she just keeps going and just like ramps it up.
She knows what to say. She knows what the soft spots are, and that line she has after when she has driven Henry from her room by talking about having sex with his father. And she turns around and just kind of muses to herself, well, what family doesn't have its problems? Like it's so perfect. And it succeeds in letting the air out of the balloon, deflating the proceedings a little bit, because this is all very Shakespearean, and it's all very big and very dramatic and very important. And it really helps that, every once in a while you have this character have a line or demonstrate an awareness or a point of view, or to let like, oh, actually these people are buffoons, Yes, they're quote unquote great people, they're great figures of history, but these people are idiots. And there's nothing all that important or profound in anything they're doing, except for the fact that they have power over large groups of people.
Yeah.
you know.
And
Um,
it's that I think that's what I like about it. The humor comes from the not foibles exactly, but the mundane failings. They are great people, but she can't quite hold on to her cruelty. You know, she
yeah,
can be absolutely cutting. She can be ruthless and unbelievably unkind. But she, like Henry at the end, you get the idea that she can't really destroy them. She can hurt them, but she couldn't do something that would destroy them.
right.
Um, and yeah, Henry with the laughs and having power over people. Like when he goes around, he's like, the king's upset. Nobody sleeps.
Nobody sleeps.
So great. He goes around just kicking everybody in the shoulder, the knees, like up, get up, get up, everybody up.
Yeah.
Throwing a
Yeah.
tantrum, and you can do that because you're the king.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. I thought it was marvelous.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
I
And we
yeah,
haven't
I
talked
mean,
about
yeah.
Philip, the French king, or Alice,
Yes.
the not exactly bride.
The yeah, the king's mistress.
So, but she's got a dowry. Like,
Yeah. She comes on strong in the end when she finally gets to say, hey, if you're going to marry me, you have to keep your sons. That you have to keep your sons in prison for the rest of their lives, right? Like she's the one who points that out because because you're not going to live forever, and as soon as you're gone, if I'm just here with our kids by myself, one of them is just going to kill our kids, and then they're going to be king. Like you get that, right? you know and I think that helped her, like, because otherwise she's a sympathetic character because of her position,
yeah,
but she doesn't really have a whole lot to do in the story other than just be there
get
to be
pushed around.
argued over. And yeah.
The relationship between her and Eleanor is alluded to, but not really clear. I mean, Eleanor apparently raised her.
Yeah.
And don't forget that the Aquitaine is in France. That's
Right.
across the channel. And so when they embrace and Eleanor, she says, "Mother's here," and she's rocking her. She's singing to her in French.
Right. I noticed that.
And it's just and when she's so the narrative, the framing of it doesn't play up the way that they hurt each other, but their relationship is at least as crucial. I mean, should I think that should have gotten a little bit more focus. Maybe not to the extent that John and Jeffrey and Richard do, but Eleanor was someone who they were close, and
Mhm.
also Alice can see herself, her future self, in Eleanor. That and she doesn't have the Aquitaine. The land that she comes with is much
Mhm.
smaller. And
Yeah.
Henry says, yes, I need that because of its position, but it doesn't have the power that the Aquitaine did. So
Right.
she is not, even, and obviously she's not as smart as Eleanor is either. So she's in a much more vulnerable position, which the movie does show. And I think the character is underutilized, but at the same time, it's already 2.25 hours long. So.
And there's plenty of characters. Well, and I was going to say something similar about Philip,
Philip.
Because both Philip and Alice they're more plot devices than characters, but they're pleasant enough. You know what I mean? Like it's not like, and Philip especially. I mean, Timothy Dalton does a good job with what he's given to do,
Yeah.
and he's mostly just there to kind of stir things up and to, like similar to
Not
Alice,
that
to
they
give them
need
something.
anything more,
Yeah.
but let's just add it.
To give them something to fight with each other about, and to give them something to suspect each other over. And yeah, and I mean that scene where they're all taking turns coming in one at a time and hiding behind different curtains. And I mean, that's just amazing. That's like it's a scene from a farce. I mean, it's like it's wonderful. And then, yeah,
It
go.
was, however, clever of Philip not to put. Oh, and his line, "What are tapestries for?"
Yeah. Oh, that was great. I see. I like that, but I also, even more than that, I love when Jeffrey says, "May we?" like, like, can we hide behind the tech? Thanks, buddy. Like I love that. I love that.
And
But that,
and
yeah,
I
that whole scene is fantastic.
Philip is at least smart enough not to put Richard in the same alcove.
No, he's like, thank God we got plenty of tapestries. You go over here. I was thinking, actually, and obviously the scene ends the way it ends, where they all reveal themselves. But I was thinking, after when he hid Richard in the other spot, and because Henry has arrived, I thought to myself, oh, I hope he remembers what order he hid them in. So when he when he unhides them and lets them out, they won't find each other out. But
and
but
the
yeah,
way he
yeah,
goads Richard into revealing himself, really well done.
yeah,
And
yeah,
Henry was about to leave too, and he pulls him back in.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that was good.
Yeah, but I really, really liked it. It's both irreverent and heartfelt, which is a nice quality when you find it. It sticks both the funny parts and the serious parts, and the characters are all interesting and well drawn and fun to watch. And I mean,
And even some of the side characters, the captain of the guard,
yeah.
he's just like, okay, we're doing this. All right, we're doing that.
You know what? The last time that he had like a big scene, when Henry like goes into his room and wakes him up and he's like, let's go. I had the thought, why doesn't he just make that guy the king? Like, that guy's got his back no matter what.
And then the bishop.
Oh, the bishop. After when it's like obvious that the wedding's not going to happen, and he's just like, look, let's just go.
I put the hat on.
I guess we're not doing it after all. Come on, let's just go. I'm just gonna leave.
I'm so glad you liked it.
Yes,
you
go ahead.
Pick the next one.
Well, yes, I was gonna say I have a couple of possibilities for the next one.
There's also the list, and I will point out that my movies have been on the list.
That's true.
And you have way more movies on your side of the list than I have on mine, I think. I mean, I've never seen Roadhouse.
That's true. I can
just throwing that out there.
Since you brought it up,
I know how much you like it.
And since I am always eager for any reason to watch Roadhouse, why don't we do Roadhouse next? Because I am dying to know what you think of Roadhouse.
All right. We have
so we will follow. This is going to be great. We will chase The Lion in Winter with Roadhouse.
I hope that it's great. I have no idea why you said that, but I am eager to find out.
It's difficult having now watched The Lion in Winter. It's difficult to imagine two movies that are more different from one another. It's a good thing that we actually watch these, like a month or so apart, because it's quite, if we did this as like a double feature, if we were like just having a day watching movies and like, okay, we watch The Lion in Winter, Roadhouse now, it's like, boy, that's whiplash. I mean, that's like, so we'll do that.
That sounds great. Okay. So closing thoughts, Steve?
Well, thank you for picking this movie. Because like I said, it's one that I've known about for years and just never got around to watching.
Well, thank you for not watching it for years. So
it's nice we could do this. I thought it was great. I mean, it's like A Man for All Seasons, only funnier. Because as much as I like A Man for All Seasons, not exactly a laugh riot, but Lion in Winter is. It's fantastic. I loved it. So
I'm so glad. Now I want to know, did you like it better than Little Miss Sunshine?
You're so competitive. I do think it is a better film than Little Miss Sunshine. Yes. Wow, you look, see, it's like you've won something. It's like you're like, yes. Haven't we learned from the film we just watched how destructive this kind of competition can be?
It's not necessarily. I'm not trying to hurt you, but like
I know,
like a
and I
lot of
don't
the
care,
movies.
but
A lot of the movies.
I'm.
Look, dude. I made you watch Moulin Rouge,
That's
or
true.
I invited you to watch
Well,
Moulin
you
Rouge,
did,
and then
yes,
you suffered through it, and I had no idea how much you hated it until we were done.
because I've said this before. I will not let the movie win. This movie is not going to run
Suffering
me
through
off.
suffering, allowing yourself to suffer. That is the movie winning. Like getting up and leaving, that's victory, dude.
Different
We
points
will
of
never
view.
agree on this.
It's different points of view.
Temple of Doom.
That's
I'm
true.
out.
You didn't even make it through the credits of Temple of Doom, and we were even doing a video about it. And it's like we were like, hey, let's watch Temple of Doom and then do a video about it. You watched the credits and you were like, I'm out. So we just made the video about that. So yeah, everybody, don't forget to, if you like this series and you like hearing us talk about movies we've just watched, these videos are half on my channel and half on Dana's channel. So make sure you're subscribed to Dana's channel at youtube.com/Dana Calderas so you can see.
And subscribe here if you're not already.
Yes, if you're not subscribed to my channel, why don't you go ahead and take care of that? And so we'll do this again, and whenever, a few weeks, a month or so, on Dana's channel, and we'll we'll watch Roadhouse. Thanks for watching, everybody.